Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 271. My name's Adam Patterson. We're joined today by Kevin Rakestraw. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right. This week on the show, we have two reviews lined up for you. We got Takashi Miike's Blade of the Immortal, which is out now on VOD.
Oh, yeah.
And we also have Good Time. This is directed by Benny and Josh Safdie. That's also now available on VOD, so you can check out both of these movies immediately. We'll also be going over some new releases, what we've been watching on the watch list, video on demand, Blu-ray stuff. But first, got a big announcement to make. We're doing a new thing on the site. This is launching as you're hearing this. So today, when you're listening to this, it will be live. We're doing a new feature called Film Pulse Selects. What this is an online film festival that we're organizing that will basically be a curated collection of new indie films. We're going to do short films and features, documentary and narrative, and we are going to, we've published, we've done premieres before on the site, and what I want to do is more of them. I want to do more, not just premieres, but just have an outlet where independent filmmakers can show their films and not have to pay crazy fees to get into a festival or, get lost in the shuffle. This is going to be focusing on low budget and micro budget indies, and we're going to get it all organized. We're going to give out awards. It's going to be a great time. I'm really excited for it. So if you have a film that you are shopping around at festivals, be sure to go to filmpulseselects.com. All the guidelines are there, and there's going to be links to submit your films. We are using Submittable and Film Freeway, so whichever is your preferred method of submission, you can use either one and put it in. We can't guarantee that all the films that we get are going to be in the festival because, like I said, we are going to be heavily curating this. It's going to be very specific. But by all means, submit your stuff. I really look forward to seeing what comes in. So that's available now. Again, that's Film Pulse Selects. You can get there from our regular site at filmpulse.net or go to filmpulseselects.com. Everything's going to be interlinked and all of that stuff. And I'm sure that I'll be putting plugs ahead of the shows and stuff, promoting this as well. So if you know anyone who is a filmmaker who made a short film, you want to get out there, be sure to go to the site. And we're doing full write-ups for each one. Each film will get a laurel, and there's also a possibility for like interviews, Q&As, podcast spots, all that stuff. Also, one thing that I plan on doing for our Patreon subscribers, I plan on releasing the movies early for our Patreons. So we're going to have a release schedule for the movies, and then any of our patrons will be getting those releases early.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that's still in the early stages. I don't have that as a perk just yet on the Patreon page. Just because we're so early in the launch of this, I want to make sure that I have all my ducks in a row with the actual festival before we start getting into those things. But that is something I plan on doing. We're also going to be starting up a newsletter that goes along with this that will highlight upcoming releases. It'll contain interviews and things like that. So you can look forward to getting that as well. That you can sign up for on the website. There's a link in the sidebar where you can just pop in your email. You won't be getting any kind of spam from us. We won't do that. We won't bombard your inbox with newsletters like every day or anything like that. I'm thinking like maybe weekly, but most likely like a bi-weekly or even a monthly thing for that.
There you go. I would say I would go monthly.
It's just, yeah, it's just...
That's just my 2 cents.
It's just too much. Like, I get some emails that are like weekly newsletters and stuff, and you just, after a while, you just delete, Mm-hmm. So, it won't be bad. So, you can sign up for the newsletter right now on our website. Just go to filmpulse.net. It's on the sidebar. I believe it's the last link on the sidebar right now, but you'll see a little email thing there. You can just plop it in and stay up to date on all the releases that we have planned for this new platform. Let's get into our first review of the day. I'm thinking Blade of the Immortal.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, let's do Blade of the Immortal. So this is directed by Takashi Miike. This is his 100th film.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah, it is. It's insane to think.
Oh my goodness, I just saw the poster for the first time.
Yeah.
This?
Which one? The
one that's on IMDb?
Yeah. What a badass poster, huh?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I want it.
That is ridiculous.
I want it. I want that poster real bad. I have a synopsis here for this. Manji, a highly skilled samurai, becomes cursed with immortality after a legendary battle. Haunted by the brutal murder of his sister, Manji knows that only fighting evil will regain his soul. He promises to help a young girl named Rin avenge her parents who were killed by a group of master swordsmen led by ruthless warrior Anatsu. The mission will change Manji in ways he could never imagine. The 100th film by master director Takashi Miike.
100 films.
It's so wild. Like I remember way back in the day when we first discovered him, and I'm wondering how many he had by that point. Probably 50.
I love the fact that I just looked this up, that he is 1 year younger than my father.
Yeah. There you go. So,
he's made 100
so next time you go home, you can go, Dad, Takashi Miike made 100 movies and he's a year younger than you. What have you accomplished with your life? Just stick it to him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think we probably got into him. Maybe he probably had 50 under his belt by that point.
Well, that's the thing. Like you said, 100 them up right now. There are so many movies that I didn't even hear anything about.
Yeah, I think maybe
The Lion Standing in the Wind. Never heard of it. Yakuza Apocalypse. Maybe Terraformers.
No, Yakuza Apocalypse we reviewed on the site, so yes, you heard of Yakuza Apocalypse.
See, that's the other downside of making 100 movies. Not all of them are memorable.
We liked that. That was the one with the person in the suit.
Frog,
yeah, the frog suit.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
I think maybe we hopped on the Takashi bandwagon when Audition came out, probably around that time.
I think we were even before that.
I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at what he released before Audition, and I don't know if I saw any of these.
We were getting things from eBay. Came out, and we were super stoked.
Yeah, I mean, I just,
it was right around the time that we just started getting into.
Yeah, because I remember I bought the Dead or Alive trilogy in it was on eBay, and I got all 3 Dead or Alive movies, and then what was the other one that he released? Oh, City of Lost Souls. I was a big fan of that one. Mm-hmm. That one was awesome.
And I picked up Ichi the Killer.
Yeah, but that was
ridiculous.
Yeah, Ichi was after Audition, because Audition was 99.
1999.
Yeah,
pretty serious.
Yep. Happiness of the Katakuris was 2001. Agitator, I remember that one. That was 2001. So that's around. Those movies are when we got into it. I'd say 99.
Yeah, you're right.
99 to 2002, 2003. Because Gozu was 2003. Honestly, I don't, maybe I'm biased, or maybe I have some nostalgia for it, but I still think that era those were his best movies, I think. Graveyard of Honor.
Oh, yeah.
This is him going back to the samurai film. He's done quite a few samurai films over the years. Did 13 Assassins, which was pretty great. And this...
13 Assassins is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That movie is unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, I still think Audition is my favorite of his, but, Yeah, Harakiri. What did you think of Blade of the Immortal?
I love how ridiculous it is. I appreciate that. Like right off the bat, this movie's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it definitely plays up the humor pretty early on, so that this is not an entirely serious
Yeah,
endeavor that we're about to be
which
getting into.
which is interesting because when the way that it starts off, it's the black and white. It's a period piece. The way that it's shot looks like an old time samurai movie. Yeah, I mean, it feels very much like an old time samurai movie, but you have that humor in there, and then you have pretty early on, within 10 minutes maybe, of this guy killing hundreds of people, just hundreds,
Yeah. Well,
just an absolute massacre.
is it more than 100? Because doesn't he get the nickname? Doesn't he get the nickname? And it's like the 100-man
The
killer.
100 killer, the
Yeah,
100 killer.
the 100
Yeah,
killer.
he just like it's, and I mean that's the way that it kicks off.
Oh yeah,
So you were introduced where it's just like, okay, this is going to be, no, we're not taking this too seriously, and there's just going to be a shit ton of bloodshed. The body count is so high that I don't think you can calculate one.
I think at one point in this movie, there's an entire army that dies. An
Mhm.
entire army dies, and you see the battlefield just littered with corpses. And at that moment, I thought to myself, this has to have the highest body count of any movie in existence. It has to. Like, it's insane the amount of people that die in this movie.
If you've seen 13 Assassins, which is, if you haven't, you must. It's absolutely spectacular. But with 13 Assassins, it was this like huge buildup of this, final showdown where it was just this absolute massacre, just a huge body count, right? And so Blade of the Immortal is kind of like that, but they do that within the first 10 minutes and then they do it again later.
And it's even bigger later.
Yes.
Interestingly,
There's actual rivers of blood.
yeah, it's insane. It is absolutely insane the amount of violence in this movie. It is much. I mean, I knew what the movie was about, and I knew that it was going to be pretty violent. But he goes balls out in the lumberyard on this one,
Sure
big
does.
time. Interestingly, the big fights were not my favorite part of the movie. I liked the one-on-one stuff when he was fighting. I can't remember the name of the like the clan that they were from. They're the fencers, the fencing school.
Oh, was it like
Art.
Idu Ryu?
Yeah.
That's pronounced, but I could write it down for you.
Okay. Well, yeah, that really helps in a podcast. But anyway, the sort of the main bad guys that he was going after. I liked those one-on-one fights the most because they were just interesting. Like each mini boss had their own weapon and their own personality and their own abilities. I always like that in any type of like martial arts movie that you have
Yeah.
when you have those unique fights. The big battles I thought were just less interesting. They were cool at first. Like they all started off really cool, and you're just like, holy shit, look at all these people that he's got to go through, and like, how's he ever going to make it through this? But then eventually it gets so messy that
Yeah.
it's just a cacophony of violence that is, you can't really tell even what's going on at times.
No,
It's just
I tweeted this where it just becomes a sea of flailing arms, the sword noises. So you have all the clinking and whatnot, and screaming. It just becomes like, at first you're right, where it's just like, holy shit, the scope of this is incredible. Look at everyone he has to go through. Oh my god, this guy's a beast. But like a minute into it, you're just like, okay, I can't really tell what's going on. Like there's just swords everywhere. People are falling to the ground. And the way that this is kind of set up, where, I mean, he's immortal. So you're just like, okay, he's not going to die. He's going to kill all these people. Like, do we need to make this so drawn out?
yeah, and that was kind of one of the issues I had was that the length. A lot of these fight scenes are so long, and some of them are pretty satisfying, but others are you're just like, oh my god, it's never gonna end. It just keeps going and going, and like I don't know, maybe too much of a good thing is not such a good thing, you know? Like,
and for me, I don't, and although I think in 13 Assassins he did the the big fight type thing really well. I don't think anyone has really surpassed it from the Sword of Doom from 1966, where like at the end it's just an all-out chaos, just mowing down people left and right. And when you see it here, like the first time I said, at the beginning of the movie, you're like, oh shit, okay, it really sets the tone. And then you kind of have this, like you said, where the fights in between, through the middle section are more rewarding than the two big time, big scope type deals.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of, it's impressive to think of like, okay, that many extras with all the, that's costumes and the makeup and everyone, the way to, choreograph that and to film it. Like, it's really impressive, but the actual end product is like,
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. When he first comes up against the army, you're like, oh my God, there's like literally 1,000 people here. I mean, there is a sea of people. Yeah. And I don't think there was like CG people added or anything like that. I mean, it was like literally just hundreds and hundreds of people, and you're in fairly tight quarters where this battle took place. It's like in this kind of wooded area, but there were like people standing on top of like structures and stuff, and they're just everywhere, and you're just like, oh my God. And then sometimes there were a few moments of clarity in the battles where you kind of get to see the scope of what's going on, and that was impressive. The fact that they had so many people involved in shooting this, and like each person, I'm sure had their own specific role, like guy number 347 that gets his face slashed off, but it all worked together nicely. But it was like we discussed before, it was so long, it was so drawn out, and a lot of times it was difficult to even really see what was happening.
And what I loved in the in-between battles, where he's kind of doing these one-on-one things where he's getting the revenge for Rin, is how he uses his immortality to his favor, where he's not that great of a fighter.
Well, that's the thing.
At this point.
Yeah, this is something I wanted to discuss, because at the beginning, before he was immortal, he took on 100 dudes, including like the best guy in the group or whatever, like the leader of the group. And you're just like, holy shit, this guy is a badass. But then after he becomes immortal, it's like, he let himself go a little bit. He's like using his immortality as a crutch, where he's just sloppy, and he doesn't really care. Like, oh, this guy just chopped off my arm, whatever. So it's kind of funny in that regard, where he doesn't care anymore.
Yeah, because in the first fight, dude gets his eye cut out, gets his hand chopped off. It still is able to vanquish, 100 plus. Then it gets the bloodworms, and he's been alive forever. Like, I guess at this point in time, he's just kind of tired of it. Like, does he really need to stay in shape?
Yeah, he wants to die. He's like the other guy that they meet along the way. He just wants to die. He just wants it to be over.
Well, and I love how he uses that for like the first two fights, where you kind of think to yourself, like, why don't you just use that right off the bat? Like, the guy stabs you through the heart with a sword, and of course he's got to like stay close and be like, I won, you suck, all that trash talking shit, and then you just like, kill the guy. You get him close by letting him think that he's killing you, and then you kill him. Like, that's pretty much what he does every time.
Yeah.
It seems like he's using a lot of energy that he doesn't have to. Like, he doesn't have to block anything.
That's true.
Just take it. Take the hits.
Oh my God. He gets
I do love the one fight that he gets like all of his limbs cut off.
Yeah. Yep. That happens. Which that reminds me of another point. The dialogue in this I liked a lot, actually. I thought it was really funny, because the dialogue is not like it's somewhat of that era. Like it tries to stay somewhat historical in their dialogue, but other times they'll just completely break and it'll sound like they have more of a contemporary dialect to them. Like there's just certain things that he says, because he's kind of a funny character, and there's certain things that he says that feel very 21st century to me.
Yeah.
And that could be that this is based on a manga series. I haven't read it, so I'm not sure how much of it's been sort of a direct translation over from the manga. I'm not sure.
But it does very much feel kind of like a comic book movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. This just made me think, like, I would love to see a live action Samurai Champloo movie. Like, I feel like they could do it and have it look really cool, and not just don't have it be like a lot of these live action anime adaptations where they try to make it look a lot like the anime and it just feels like silly and kind of cartoony. Like, I feel like if they made Champloo look gritty and real, I think it'd be cool.
That's the other thing about this movie, which was, it's really interesting to see from a lot more at the beginning, like through the middle kind of, and a lot more at the end, where it has this classic feel. Like the cinematography, this looks like a classic samurai movie, where like it is artfully done.
Yeah.
But it is completely ridiculous, which is just a really, it's really interesting to see that like contradiction of just being a comic book movie where it is just balls to the wall, ridiculous amounts of CGI blood, which the CGI blood in this actually didn't look too bad, comparatively speaking.
I thought it looked good.
From a lot of the other movies that we've seen. And then couple that with, the classic cinematography that you usually see.
I thought that the story was pretty ridiculous. I like revenge stories, and I thought that aspect of the plot was fine. But just if you take a step back and look at what caused the revenge to need to happen, you're just like, what? This guy's going around to all the dojos and trying to fight and kill all of the people in the dojo so that his fencing school can be the best one? Did I misinterpret that, or I miss something there?
No, it's a lot like, because isn't that pretty much the basis of Yip Man?
Sort of, yeah.
They're going around to do, and that's kind of like the thing. You have all these schools of samurais, right? So if you want to showcase that you're the best, obviously you're gonna have to waltz into another samurai school and be like, all right, I challenge you, take down all the competition. Who's left? You. But it did feel kind of lacking in that sense, where they touch upon it a little bit, but they never really seem to delve below surface level of like, okay, this girl wants revenge. What's the cost of revenge? But they don't really do anything there with that, because it's just like they thousands and thousands of people die so they can kill one person.
Yep.
And even then, it's like, it's the story's not good. Let's just be honest. It's not a good story.
It's really kind of base level. You're really in it for the action in this.
Yeah.
Which is, to be fair, it's almost nonstop. It's almost unending amounts of action. So
I think that for me, the biggest thing would be you can make it a little bit tighter, a little bit of leaner runtime, because they spend a lot of time the in-between fight, discussing revenge and stuff, but they never really go anywhere with it. They never really dig deep.
Yeah, I mean, they started developing the relationship between Manji and Rin, and I thought they did a decent job of that, where she basically looked exactly like his daughter, so he sort of took a liking to her. His sister, and so he took a liking to her. It was played by the same actress.
Yeah.
And that's why he agreed to become her bodyguard. Now,
why wouldn't you? I mean, you're immortal.
What else is he going to do? He's just hanging out in a crappy shack doing nothing.
Eating jerky.
doing nothing with his life.
Stick. Yeah, of course. I mean, he's been alive for like what, 50? Tacked on to the original, like he was probably like 30 when he died. It's been like 80 years.
Yeah. What? I read something about that he had to kill, and I might have missed this when I watched it, but I read that he has to like kill. Yeah, he must defeat 1,000 evil men to free himself. Was that in there? Did I miss that?
I didn't see it anywhere in the movie.
Maybe that's in the original, in the manga.
Yeah, because in the movie, the only thing that is that poison that the guy got from Tibet that weakens the bloodworms.
Mm-hmm.
And that if you use enough of it, but it really had no discussion of like any other way of freeing yourself from this curse.
Yeah, it's just maybe that must be something in the manga then.
It has to be, because they didn't really get into it in the movie. I mean, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes, but essentially what I just told you is how deep they go into like the folklore of this curse.
I was never really sure of the motivations of the woman that cursed him either.
Yeah,
and I wasn't really sure how her powers worked, because she just seemed to be able to just teleport wherever she needed to be, and she seemed to be all knowing. Like she knew, maybe there was some sort of connection with the bloodworms or something where she knew exactly where they were and what they were doing and how to get to them.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of info going on here. She just says she has like bloodworms in a bag, I guess, that she's able to throw in, which I think you would be doing this more often, utilizing bloodworms.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's a limited supply of them.
I don't know. If you're fighting, I think if you were trying to fight evil, you would utilize bloodworms a little more frequently.
Yeah, you just got to be careful, though. You got to make sure you're giving them to the right person. Because I feel like bloodworms in the wrong hands could be a disaster.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But then you have the Tibetan poison, so should be able to offset it. And you would think that she knows about the Tibetan poison. She can teleport everywhere.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so many questions. So many interesting questions around the logic behind the logic and lore of Blade of the Immortal.
Yeah, which, let's be honest, Takashi Miike is not...
He doesn't give a fuck.
He's not one for, like, okay, this needs to be reasonable.
Yeah.
We got to utilize some logic here.
I'm just I just had visions of Ichi the Killer, the ejaculate, and that.
Yeah, I mean, it's Miike, and that's kind of what you want going in. You're like, I want this to just be outright ridiculous, and it is, especially the way that it ends with that last line and then like the music cue.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yep, it was awesome. I had a pretty good time with Blade of the Immortal. I didn't love it. I expected to love it, but I still think it was solid and worth a look. I think I will score this one a 7 out of 10.
Okay, I was thinking like a 6.5. Something much like you, where I enjoyed it, but as a whole, it's kind of a little bit repetitive, especially with that last fight scene where I appreciate it and I respect it, but at the same time, viewing it as an audience member, it was a bit repetitive.
Yeah, it got a little bit long in the tooth.
Yeah. And especially like after a while, you're just like, I can't really tell what you guys are doing.
I don't know how many of you are still alive. I don't know when this is ever going to end.
You're all getting slashed.
And they all look, see, the thing was like all the soldiers, they all kind of looked the same. Like they all had the same outfits and many of them had the same haircut. They all had swords. So there wasn't a whole lot of variety in the enemy types there. Yeah. He was just mowing through them.
And they're all terrible.
Yeah.
Like they're just terrible.
They're all scared shitless.
Which is one of the things that I've never quite understood about samurai movies. Like when I watch these fights, it's just like there's so many times where the guy is open. Like just stick the sword out.
I think they're all afraid. They're all afraid to...
I think there's either like if they're afraid or there's some sort of like rules,
like a code
to combat.
There was he actually
it's just like
in the movie he comments on that. He goes, "What? You're all going to attack me at once or something like that?" Like it was sort of a faux pas. It wasn't the army that scene. It was like he was fighting another small group of people.
Which, I mean, if you're gonna break that rule and do more than one at a time, just break the rules even further and just stab the guy when his back's turned. There's 40 of you standing behind him.
I think
All you have to do is extend the sword.
I think what was going through their heads. They're standing around him in a circle. He's ready. He is ready to chop arms and heads. And you're one of the soldiers in the circle, and you're thinking, "Well, I'm not going. He can go. I'm not going. I know if I go, he's going to cut me. I'm not going."
Well, if it was me in this situation, I would have
I'd be at home.
I would have slinked back. I'd be under the bridge, like, okay, everyone's occupied, and then I just would have bounced and walked through the woods.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people. There's so much activity. You could easily just waltz out of there, and no one has any idea. No one's gonna be like, "Dude, where's Kevin?"
Maybe. The only problem with that is if you get caught, they probably kill you for being a deserter.
Yeah, true, but they all died anyway. So.
Yeah, they did. Yep. They definitely did all die. Many of them in very gruesome ways.
That's right.
So that's Blade of the Immortal. That's available now on video on demand. I rented this on iTunes, actually. You can see it on there. It's like $7 or something in HD. So give it a look. Let's move on and talk about Good Time. This is it's directed by Josh and Benny Safdie. It's written by Josh Safdie and Ronald Bronstein. I have a synopsis here.
All right.
After a heist goes awry, a bank robber spends the night trying to free his mentally ill brother from being sent to Rikers Island prison. Stars old Robert Pattinson.
Oh, yeah.
Benny Safdie's in there. What a performance by him, by the way.
We'll
Both of them, really. Jennifer Jason Leigh's in there. And my favorite, Necro. As soon as Necro showed up, I was like, there he is. I was wondering, and there he is.
I want so badly for some interviewer to just, I need to know what it is with the Safdie brothers and Necro.
They must be pals.
Must be were they fans beforehand? They big nonfiction fans, right? He's from nonfiction. Right?
I think so, yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
They were just we have to get Necro in our movies.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I appreciate that he's there, though. So, Good Time. I loved Heaven Knows What when that came out. Mm-hmm. And so I had pretty high hopes for this one. I heard a lot of good things. Gave it a look. And I pretty much loved it. This is definitely an Adam movie through and through. This is...
The way you were building that up, I thought...
You thought I was going to... Yeah, well...
I thought you were going to drop it on me.
No. Definitely loved this movie. Everything from the cinematography, this is shot on film. I think it looks amazing. The title cards, I always have to give a shout out to good title cards, and I was a big fan of the title cards on this. The music was pretty awesome. I was a big fan of the music. Performances across the board. It felt like Heaven Knows What. It definitely had that same vibe to it, where everything, you have this kind of hyper real environment where a lot of the actors seem like non-actors. I don't know if I feel like some of those people had to be non-actors.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But everything, I loved the kinetic pace of this movie, where you had that small opening scene where Benny Safdie's introduced and he's being interviewed by, I guess he's like a social worker maybe, or a psychologist. I think he's a social worker. And you have that interview there, real tight, close up shots. And then you go from that, which is a relatively quiet scene, to the heist, which that whole heist sequence I thought was incredible. And from that moment, it's like the film moves at this sort of breakneck pace at throughout the whole thing, and I was a big fan of this.
All right. I was a little bit let down. Gotta say, this is a tough one for me because there's a lot of things that I appreciate, a lot of things that I respect in this movie, but just overall as an experience, it's just kind of what was the point of this? It's just, it's kind of it's tight filmmaking, but to what end? To me, it's just the actual like the story itself, what it's dealing with is just so inconsequential to me. Where there's just, to me, there's nothing there. There's no meat to it. But everyone did a fantastic job. The only thing that I had like a slight problem with was the music. To me, the music was just, there's certain aspects of it that I enjoyed, but two things to me is, to me, it was a bit overbearing. Like it was kind of constant, which I kind of understand where they, it's kind of this suffocating music to it.
Right.
Where
They were,
like you said,
there's this constant
kinda,
momentum happening.
yeah. So I can kind of understand that, but at the same time, like the volume level to it was just a bit too much for me. To me, it came across as distracting instead of actually like adding to the film.
Okay.
So I mean, like the score is good, but the implementation of it I thought was just a little bit off. And I gotta say, like right off the bat with that interview, because I didn't know anything about this movie going in, except for the people that are in it. All right. So I really didn't know what the hell this thing was about. So it starts off with the interview, and Benny Safdie, as soon as he opens up his mouth, I'm just like, what the fuck is this? What's he doing? What is this character? And I was just so confused for like the first like 10 minutes or whatever. I'm just like, oh, is he doing what I think he's doing? Is he playing a mentally disabled person?
Yeah, but he seems to be at least partially deaf, and I think that's why why he spoke like that.
And I think that portion of it took me a little bit of time to like work through, because I wasn't prepared for that. I had no idea that was an aspect of the movie, and then that's what Benny Safdie was going to be doing. So it took me quite a while to work through that, and I do understand why they went that route. It makes sense to me.
But also, he's not in it that much.
No,
I mean,
I think
a big portion of the movie is Robert Pattinson trying to find him.
Yeah, which to me I think that was also kind of a detriment, where you're kind of introduced to him first, and then even in the heist, it's kind of centered around him and his role, and then the rest of the movie he's gone. Which, yes, it makes sense that okay, we're in with Robert Pattinson, we're trying to get him back, but at the same time he's kind of introduced as the best part of the movie, and then he's gone.
Well, I think that the first scene was introducing him as I think that was to develop to show his character and show his state of mind and everything, and then the other scenes were meant to show the bond that they have, so that it would be more believable that he's going through these lengths to get his brother back.
Yeah,
I think that's what they were going for with that. I do love that. So there's a case of mistaken identity that happens, and I love that he grabs who he believes is his brother, but it's played by Buddy Duress or Duras.
Yeah,
because
I was so happy.
Because I literally get the two of those mixed up all the time. So I thought it was so perfect that he played that character.
Yes.
But I also thought that he was awesome, and I think that dude is great in everything he's in.
I think the rest is like he's a fucking superstar.
He was so funny in this too.
All three. Yeah.
And that was the other thing. Like, I was thankful that there was a solid amount of comedy in this. I would definitely wouldn't call it a comedy by any stretch. It's pretty dour. But I was thankful that there were sort of those moments, those small moments of humor that kept things from being way too dark and depressing.
Yeah.
So I feel like Heaven Knows What was just such a downer. Like the whole movie, you just hated life after.
Oh yeah.
Heaven Knows What. And then this one, it's pretty horrible, a lot of the things that happen in it, but there were at least a few moments to brighten it up a bit.
I would say emphasis on few.
Yeah.
Very few.
They're there.
You have a big time manipulator in Connie, which a pretty solid performance from Robert Pattinson. I mean, pretty much performances all around.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah. I mean, Jennifer Jason Leigh, very small role, but she was perfectly cast for that role. Corey, her name was in the movie. She seemed high maintenance.
And Barkhad Abdi.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see him again.
Yeah, he's that's what I said. I was like, well, I'm glad that he has a career. Like he's been in some good stuff.
2 big ones this year too.
Yeah,
Good Time and Blade Runner 2049.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad to see that he continues to get work. I think that's great because I thought he was great in Captain Phillips. Yeah, what was I gonna say? This was about Robert Pattinson. Oh, the thing I liked about Robert Pattinson's character Connie was that he was such a good social engineer. Like, you know, the whole movie is about him being put in these just bad situation after bad situation, and he's so clever that he always seems to figure out a way out of the situation that he's in, even though it may put him in sort of a worse position. I was so impressed by a lot of the things that he did to get what he wanted or to go where he needed to go. He's a badass. He's a badass social engineer.
I guess. I mean, I thought that, to me, a lot of the situations were just a bit too much for me. Where it's just like, well, I don't think this guy's that good. Like, I don't think Connie's nothing you've shown me about Connie tells me that he's smart enough to make any of this stuff work. And I mean, ultimately it doesn't, but he makes it work for far too long, especially with like everything in the hospital. And then when they get out of the hospital,
yeah,
it's just like, I don't know.
I thought for sure he was going to get caught in that scene, but
yeah, I think you have to implement a decent amount of, suspension of disbelief here.
A little bit, but
where this is like, yeah, I don't think so. But all right,
well,
I'll just buy in.
I'm gonna talk about it. I'll talk about it next when we go into the watch list. But I read that this is sort of a reinterpretation of Scorsese's After Hours, which I watched this week.
Oh, okay.
And if you look at it in that light, you can see the influence there, because it's there's a lot of similarities, but we'll get into that in a minute.
See, that's interesting because like I'm coming at I've never seen that movie, so I'm coming at this from like I'm seeing it as a wholly original film. So if I knew that going in, like if I saw the other movie beforehand, that would definitely affect things. Because I wouldn't be seeing it. Obviously, I wouldn't be seeing it in this as like, oh, this is an original film. It's an original voice.
It is. I mean, I don't think this is like this isn't like an explicit remake or anything like that. I think that it just follows a lot of the same sort of beats, and I think that they handle it really well. I want to talk about the cinematography. When the heist scene takes place, I immediately knew like the visual style of this movie was definitely something that was within my wheelhouse. And the dye pack scene, like when that happens, it was awesome. I just loved everything, how everything is just pink and red and sort of bathed in neon.
It does. I mean, it looks good. I mean, I don't know if I could ever watch a movie that's Sean Price Williams cinematography and wholly hate it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's always that, because even like Queen of Earth was like disappointing to me, but because of his cinematography, I'm still like a 6.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I can ever go below a 6 if he's the cinematographer.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, it looked awesome. Thought it looked awesome. Anything else? Any other thoughts?
Nah.
I can't wait to see what the Safdie brothers do next. I'm wondering if this movie will open a door for them to bigger Hollywood productions, and I'm wondering if maybe that's already happened. Maybe they're not interested in doing something like that, but I feel like this movie is definitely bringing them closer to the limelight. And I'm just wondering what they would do if they had a giant budget for a movie.
I think honestly, and I mean, obviously I could be wrong. This is just purely speculative. But to me, I see this as like as big as they'll go. Because it is, I mean, it's pretty big, and, you know, decent sized budget. You know, like a quarter of the film is helicopter shots.
Yeah, I don't know what...
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I ever like, back when I was watching Daddy Longlegs in 2009, I don't know if I was thinking, you know what? In 2017, they're going to make a film with a shit ton of helicopter shots.
Yeah, well, there's certainly... Maybe they used drones. Could have been drones that they used. Would have been cheaper. I don't know though. I think you're right though. I think they are helicopter shots. Anyway,
using that patents and money.
I mean, certainly this is their biggest production to date, by a long shot. I mean, even Heaven Knows What was pretty small scale in comparison to this. There were a lot more special effects, and there was some stunt work done on this that looked really good, especially that at the end. So I think it's definitely their biggest movie to date. I really am wondering if they're going to go bigger with it, if Hollywood's come a knocking yet, and if they'll answer that door, and if so, what they're gonna do with that. It'll be interesting to see. I'm really excited to see what they have coming up next, because between their last two movies, I mean, they're hitting home runs for me.
Yeah.
All right, Good Time. Kevin, what are you going to give it?
I give it like 6.5, 7.
All right. I'm going to go with an 8 on this
7.
one.
Oh, going with the 8.
Yep.
That's kind of what I was thinking for you.
Yeah. Pretty much loved it. Definitely one of my top movies of the year so far.
I think I was literally like 5 minutes into it, and I was just like, Adam loves this.
It's so easy. Yeah, I mean, movies that it's very easy to pick out movies that I'll be into. Like you look at my top list on Letterboxd and stuff. I definitely have specific things that I like in movies, and it doesn't take much for me to be into them. All right, let's move on and talk about someone we're watching on the watch list. I'll kick it off. I'll segue into After Hours since I gave this a look. This came out in 1985. As I said, it's directed by Martin Scorsese. This one, and if you notice the posters for Good Time and After Hours, the poster for Good Time is very clearly a take on the After Hours poster.
Clearly.
So this stars Griffin Dunne as this data entry guy. He's a word processor, and
all right, nice.
Yeah, just a word processor, just a cog in a machine. And one day he gets off work, goes to this diner, and he ends up having a chance encounter with this woman played by Rosanna Arquette, and they sort of hit things off a little bit, and she gives him her number. He goes home and he's like, you know what, I'm going to call this lady. We're going to see how this goes. So he calls her up and she's like, oh yeah, like come on by my apartment. Cause they had this conversation about how her roommate, makes these ceramic paperweights that are in the shape of bagels and cream cheese.
Right.
So he decides he wants one of these paperweights for all his papers. So he goes over to their apartment. Things get a little weird. He kind of gets spooked with Rosanna Arquette, and he comes up with an excuse and he leaves. And the problem is he doesn't have a way to get back home because he took a cab there and his money flew out of the cab window, so he didn't have any money. He had some change, and he tried to get on the subway, but there was a fare hike that happened, a fare increase, and he didn't have enough money for the subway fare. So he doesn't have any money, so he's stuck in this neighborhood in Soho, and sort of like Good Time, it's just one thing after another, after another, after another, and he keeps getting put in these like worse and worse and worse situations. So like he goes back to the apartment, and Rosanna Arquette's dead. She killed herself after he left. And
Okay.
so he's like pretty shaken with that. And he tries to go find her roommate, and they're at this like punk club where they try to shave his head. And then he ends up meeting up with Catherine O'Hara, who plays Mr. Safdie truck driver, and she's kind of cuckoo. And then Cheech and Chong come into play, and they play these like burglars. It's pretty weird. It's definitely out there. I'd call it madcap.
Oh, I like any time that is used.
Mm-hmm. It looks.
So now I'm wondering, because Tommy Chong plays a guy named Pepe. Is that the reasoning of having Pepe the Frog?
The LCD, yeah, or LSD. I don't know. Maybe it's a reference, or maybe it's a reference to our current political climate. Who knows?
It's probably a reference to After Hours.
It could be.
That'd be my guess.
Bronson Pinchot's in it for one scene.
Oh, yeah. Sign me up. I'm in.
He's only in it for one scene, but it's a good scene. The thing that surprised me about this, there were a few surprises. I mean, the film as a whole is a lot goofier and stranger than I expected it to be, and it's a lot funnier than I expected it to be too. Griffin Dunne is, some of the stuff he says in this movie is absolutely hilarious, and his reaction to some of the situations that he gets himself in, it's so good. Like, it's just so good. I can't believe that it took me this long to see this movie, and I honestly think that one of the big reasons for me not seeking this movie out before is that I never liked the cover, because it looked to me like one of these 80s rom-coms sort of, and I think that always kept me away for some reason. But I see the poster now, and I kind of like it. I have a new appreciation for it.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see this one for a while.
Well, it's excellent.
Always heard good things.
Yeah, it is
out there.
It is excellent. I would highly recommend it. I would say check this out and then see Good Time after, and you can definitely pick up on a lot of the similarities between the two.
Okay. All right. I only watched one other film. Been putting in a lot of work with the TV stuff, with your Twin Peaks season 3, and your new season of Stranger Things, and your new season of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, got a lot of work to put in. All right. So I'm trying to make it work. But I was able to see what, for me right now, would be the top film of the year.
Oh.
Which would be A Bride for Rip Van Winkle, Japanese film. It's a doozy at 3 hours. We're talking 3-hour runtime here. It's quite a journey. We deal with a lot of things. And the main character of this film, you're in a good 3-hour movie when you're towards, you're in the third hour, right? And you're kind of thinking back to the beginning parts of the film, and it feels like a distant memory, where you're just like, the person that you're seeing now on screen is just so completely different than the person that you saw at the beginning of the movie, and you just feel like you've lived in the film itself. You know what I mean? Like, you've been a part of that growth, where it's like, holy shit, this was an experience.
Yep.
Like, man, we want places.
Yeah. Hold on to that thought, because that's exactly what I'm going to get into in my next movie.
Okay. So that's what you have here. And this is just, it has everything in that 3 hours too. Number one, you got 2 great performances at the center. You have cinematography, which is just all encompassing. Like, I mean, they utilize everything. There's handheld, there's shaky handheld. There's, kind of like the gliding, like, just kind of like wandering handheld that's, like really graceful. And then you have the, fixed shooting. I mean, different angles, low angles, camera sideways. You got surveillance footage. I mean, you got like literally everything within this 3 hours. I mean, it has everything you would want. And it's really complex too within the story of it. Essentially, the main character is getting married. she doesn't have enough family members for the ceremony. So she has a pseudonym online, and she kind of puts it out there like, oh, what's she gonna do? And someone's like, oh, you can hire people. So she hires a bunch of actors to play the role of her family, so it doesn't look lopsided. And then these people just kind of keep getting hired to be in her life. So like throughout everything that's happening to her, you don't know if it's really like just something that's happened naturally and organically, or if someone's been hired to make this happen. And it just kind of like all these things keep happening to her and keep, pushing her in new directions.
Is she doing the hiring or someone else?
She starts off with the hiring,
but then other things happen.
And then other things happen, and there's a couple of times where you have no idea, and it's never explained who was hired, or who did the hiring, because there's a huge thing that like completely changes their life, and you don't know who was hired to do it.
Interesting.
You don't know if these people just went rogue or if like someone else did hire
somebody. She hired somebody else.
Yeah, like you have no idea. Like they provide all these services. They do so many things.
That's interesting. I'm gonna have to give this a look.
And then she ends up, because she doesn't really have much opportunities for work, so she ends up playing the role too. Like she goes to weddings and she gets hired out to do other things. So it just becomes this like bizarre network of people like not having real identities, just doing services for other people.
Very interesting.
Yes,
maybe
I thought so as well.
A sign of things to come, perhaps.
Perhaps, indeed.
So that's A Bride for Rip Van Winkle. That's playing in limited release right now. I think it's playing.
That's a tenner.
I think it's playing in New York. 10 out of 10.
Boom.
You have a review for that up on the site as well. So if you want to read a written review, check it out. The one that we'll circle back, and the one that I was actually going to mention the exact same thing that you mentioned about character arcs and how the characters at the beginning of the film have completely changed in fundamental ways by the end, is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Oh, you bitch.
So this is directed by Martin McDonagh. I was a fan of his previous films. I was a fan of Seven Psychopaths. I loved In Bruges. This one, it definitely feels like a McDonagh film if you're familiar with those 2 previous movies. It's equal parts comedy and tragedy, so it definitely blurs the lines between those 2 elements. It's about Frances McDormand. If you're not familiar, I think there's a lot of buzz behind this movie, but if you're not familiar, Frances McDormand plays a grief-stricken mother who, after the brutal murder of her daughter, she rents these 3 billboards, and on the billboards is a message basically calling out the police chief for not doing anything to solve this heinous crime that was committed. And when she puts up these billboards, it causes a big stir throughout the community. It's a small town where they live, and the police chief, played by Woody Harrelson, is held with very high regard. People love him in the town. He's like a hero to them. And when you see him, you're like, he's a stand-up guy. Like, we're not dealing with an awful corrupt police chief in this. Like, he's actually an amazing person. And so people are outraged that these billboards exist, and it causes all kinds of terrible and funny things to happen in this town. And just across the board, I'm not going to be surprised at all if this gets nominated for awards. Frances McDormand is absolutely incredible in this. Holy shit, just give her an Oscar now, because her character is so funny, and she's got this, like, she's just so tough in it, but at the same time there's these small moments that happen throughout the movie that are just so tender and sweet in a way. Same goes for, Woody Harrelson's incredible. Sam Rockwell's in it. He plays this sort of dopey deputy. He has a huge character arc. He turns out to be one of sort of the main characters of the film, and he's just amazing. John Hawkes is in it. Peter Dinklage, Abby Cornish, Caleb Landry Jones is in it, and he's incredible.
Nice.
All-star cast here. And they're all, every single one of them, even like John Hawkes has a pretty minor role, same with Peter Dinklage, Abby Cornish, and Caleb Landry Jones. So they all have pretty minor roles, but they all just knock it out of the park. And it's just an amazing film. Like, I can't recommend it highly enough. It's one of these movies where when I came out of it, I was like, it was okay. I liked it. Felt long. And then I realized it's like less than 2 hours long. But it's one of these things where so much happens in that runtime that it feels like you went through this epic journey with these people.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one of my favorite movies of the year, and I would highly recommend seeing it. Again, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. It is going to get a wide release, I think.
Better.
Didn't you said it was coming out in December?
Yeah, but even then, that's only at like one of my art house, air quotes, art house theaters.
Oh, really?
I know they're getting it December 1st. So I don't know.
Well, hopefully it gets a wider release. Maybe it's like just a slower rollout or something, but holy shit, I can't recommend it highly enough. It's great. The other one that I'll mention, that was it for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
The last one I'll mention this week was Mayhem. This was directed by Joe Lynch. Briefly mentioned it last week, but it hadn't come out yet, and I didn't want to talk too much about it. It stars Steven Yeun from Walking Dead. You'll know him as Glenn from Walking Dead. He plays this kind of office drone who slowly makes his way up the ladder, and he's in a pretty good position within his company. However, something happens where one of their clients, something falls through the cracks, and one of their clients basically gets burned, and he gets thrown under the bus for it, and they fire him. And on the same day that they fire him, a virus is unleashed in their office building that causes everyone who's infected to, it basically dampens, or no, it heightens the id and suppresses all the other aspects of their psyche. So it makes people, all of their kind of inner thoughts and desires are, they have no control. They have no self-control at all. So people are like, having sex with each other and murdering each other and beating each other up and doing awful things because there's no like impulse control on these people. Yeah. So the building gets quarantined, and the CDC starts pumping in a vaccine or something to counteract the virus. But problem is, it's going to take like 6 hours for it to permeate throughout the building. So everybody in the building has to just deal with it, and everybody gets infected. So that was kind of one of the interesting things about this, is that even Steven Yeun and Samara Weaving, who are the two protagonists, even they're infected. So they're kind of going nuts, and sort of like a revenge story where they're going up floor by floor trying to reach the top where the CEO is to confront him, and they have to get through all of these kind of murderous employees, and it's pretty fun. I enjoyed it. It's similar in tone to the Belko Experiment, which came out earlier this year, but it handles everything so much better than the Belko Experiment. Just the humor, the violence, even the cinematography is better than what they had in the Belko Experiment. So I would give it a look. I have a review for it up on the site. Again, that's called Mayhem, and then you can check that out on VOD. So there's some sweet nail gun action in it.
I have that nail gun in there.
Yeah.
Nail gun. Big time comeback.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's talk about some new releases. Let's take a look at what we have in theaters coming out this week. The big one's Justice League. That comes out on the 17th.
It looks so bad.
I know. It looks awful. It really looks awful. I might give it a look just because I'm such a Batman fanatic. I'm a pretty big fan of The Flash, too, but we haven't really had a good representation of The Flash in movies. The Flash TV show, it's starting to lose me, but I still watch it every week. This is I'm getting completely off topic, but have you watched any of the new season of Nathan For You, season 4?
No, I've never seen that show.
Oh my God, Kevin. Nathan For You that is a show for you.
Okay.
It
is literally Nathan For Me.
Yeah. When they named the show, they were specifically referring to Kevin Rakestraw.
Wow, I didn't know that.
You would love that show, and I think it was last week was the season finale, and it was a 2-hour season finale, and it was basically a documentary film, and it was so well made. It wasn't even really a comedy. It wasn't really funny at all. It was something completely different, and I was really impressed. So if you guys haven't been checking out Nathan For You, this season was incredible. We also have Wonder. This is the one with Jacob Tremblay.
Okay.
He plays he's like maybe he was burned. He was like a burn victim. It's about him living life to the fullest.
No thanks.
No, not for me. Mudbound. Heard a lot of good things about Mudbound.
Yes, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, this is the one. Dee Rees directed this one. Garrett Hedlund. I think that's going to be on Netflix. So,
okay.
Yeah, so everybody can check that one out.
Wonderful.
Roman J. Israel Esquire. It's the one with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Looks
like you're getting some solid Denzel right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. Looks really solid, Denzel. This is written and directed by Dan Gilroy, the guy who did Nightcrawler. That's what makes me want to see it.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also have Sweet Virginia. I think that's like a crime thriller. Got The Breadwinner, animated film.
No, thank you.
No, that one's not for me either.
Nope.
This one's interesting. Cook Off. Now, if you see the poster for Cook Off, the poster is incredible. It looks like...
Oh, yes.
It looks like a straight-to-DVD movie that was made in 1998. That logo. And Melissa McCarthy looks like she's about 15 years younger in this movie.
Well, that's because this movie was made in 2007.
That's right. Yep. That was going to be my next point. The movie was made in 2007. It's coming out 10 years later.
The tagline is "Let the flower fly."
I don't know why this is like, because you would think when Melissa McCarthy hit her stride, like after Bridesmaids, I would say, and she started putting out tons and tons of movies, you'd think that they would nestle it in there,
Yeah.
right when she's hitting her peak.
Something. I don't know what happened there.
This looks so bad. I saw a trailer for it when I was trying to figure out what the hell it was, and it just looks, oh my God, it looks awful. Let's see what else we have here. Almost Friends. Like a romantic comedy. Revolt. It's a sci-fi movie. I think is that the one with with Lee Pace. It's the one with Lee Pace. Okay. It looks pretty bad. Very generic. Mr. Roosevelt, indie comedy. I'm interested in that one. Destined, Big Sonia, Attack of the Killer Donuts. I'm going to go there with that one. Holy Air, A Better Man. That's pretty much it. On VOD this week, we have It Happened in LA. This is on the 14th. Devil's Whisper. And then on the 17th, we have Almost Friends. And Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond. That's a Netflix documentary about the making of Man in the Moon. Yeah. Which feels like maybe they should have released that, like, I don't know, 20 years ago when the movie came out.
Yeah. It seems a bit odd.
Man in the Moon came out 18 years ago.
What?
Yeah. Anyway. I think Mr. Roosevelt may also come out. I just don't have it on my list here, so I'm not sure. Blu-ray, this week we have Atomic Blonde. I know that we didn't do our scandal sexual misconduct talk at the beginning of the show, but I take it you heard that one of the executive producers of that movie was accused of some really awful things.
I did not.
He was straight up accused of rape.
Okay.
And from the details that I read, it seems absolutely horrific.
Good Lord.
So, there's that, unfortunately. Wind River comes out. Arrow is releasing a Blu-ray called George A. Romero Between Night and Dawn. So it's a 3-movie set that includes There's Always Vanilla, Season of the Witch, and The Crazies. Okay. So I guess it's the films he released between Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I would check that out. Arrow always puts out good stuff. Let's see what else we have here. The Incredible Shrinking Woman is getting a Blu-ray release from 1981. Funeral Parade of Roses from 1969 getting a release.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I think, is it Cinelicious? Yeah, Cinelicious is putting that out.
That movie's incredible.
Hellraiser getting a Steelbook.
Hell yeah, get that Steelbook.
That's good.
Diamond edition.
Yeah, that's got a really cool looking... That Steelbook's pretty cool looking. The Psycho Collection coming out. Four movies in that one.
No thanks.
Yeah, no. I mean, I like the original, but...
Yeah. He's just trying to suck you into buying the other 3. I ain't falling for it.
I've never seen any of the Psycho sequels.
Why would you?
I don't know. I don't know if they're any good. I heard maybe 1 or 2 of them are good, but... Amityville: The Awakening coming out. New Amityville horror movie. Like, we needed that. Ketty is coming out. That's the cat documentary. I would actually recommend that. That's actually one of my top docs of the year so far. And I don't mean... Nice. It's actually really... It's really good. I'd highly recommend that. Nutjob 2, Nutty by Nature. Brigsby Bear coming out. I'd recommend checking out Brigsby Bear. That's pretty much all I have. Channel 13 is coming out. That's SRS Cinema's putting that out, and that's a limited edition. There's only 225 copies of that. So if you're into Channel 13...
Oh, hell yeah. I have no idea what that is.
I actually am not sure either, so... what do we got on Criterion this week?
Ooh, we have 2 coming out. First is from 1985, Donna Deitch's first film, Desert Hearts. So this seems really interesting. This is an independent film that, was kind of groundbreaking when it came out in 1985. It's about 2 women, a love story between 2 women. So that's an independent, an American indie, that I've never heard of until this moment in time. Back when they first announced it, Criterion was putting it out.
Sure, yeah. So
that seems interesting. And then there's also La Samurai. 1967 classic. The movie that just exudes cool. Cool ass movie. Cool.
Just cool.
Contract killer. Badass with his hat and the suit.
Rocking the fedora like a boss.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous. I haven't seen that movie in ages.
Maybe now's a good time to rewatch.
I think so.
All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. If you have a minute, take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/FilmPulse. Consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.